Today in this video I'm going to be showing you how to install GNS3, the VM, and IOU layer 2 and layer 3 images. So the first thing you need to do is actually go to GNS3.com and you can Google GNS3 and then just say download or something and it'll take you to this page. You need to have a login to download it. It's free, so sign up, or if you already have a login, go ahead and do that. And then you'll click free download and then choose your iOS or your operating system. Now, I've already pre-downloaded it, so you don't have to watch me download it. And I'm actually running it in the background right now. All you do is you just double-click the exe file, click next, next, next. If you already have GNS3 installed, like an older version, it'll ask you, you're gonna have to delete the old version. Do you want to do that? Just click yes, and then let GNS3 do its thing. Okay. So right now it's just downloading all the components that it needs: Wireshark, Microsoft, Visual C++, things like that. When this is done, I'll come back and I'll show you these other files that you need to download. Alright, while you're installing GNS3, SolarWinds is going to come up and it's going to say put in a valid email address. If you don't want to put your valid email address, just do something and just make sure it matches, because without doing this you can't get past it. That SolarWinds thing, I believe, is the last piece of software that it's trying to install. Once this is done, then GNS3 should be installed, and then we can have it automatically open after. Alright, SolarWinds completed. GNS3 says that it is done, so just go and click next. You can get a free SolarWinds tool set if you want to. Just click no, and I'm going to click next, and then let's start GNS3. Alright, so GNS3 is going to start up, and the next thing we need to download is the VM, the GNS3 VM. If you go back to the GNS3 software download page, you go to download VM for GNS3 and then choose which type of VM software that you are using. You could use VirtualBox or VMware Workstation. I'm using VMware Workstation 12. Don't use 14. Use VMware Player 12, because 14 is incompatible with the latest GNS3 version. Alright. Go ahead and download it, and again, I have already done that. Should be, it's right there. So it says, do you want to run the IOU? So when GNS3 started, the setup wizard automatically came up, and this is basically the server section of GNS3. So whenever you run iOS images or any type of image, it's going to ask you, do you want to run it on your computer, or do you want to run that process on a VM? GNS3 suggests that you run it on a VM. So before I click next, I actually need to install the VM on my machine. So I downloaded it. It came in a zip file. I showed you where it was. It was right here. Download whatever one you had, and then unzip it, and then here it is. This is the GNS3VM.ova file, which is, I'm using it for VMware. So if you have VMware Workstation Player, like how I have it, this is the free version, all you need to do is open a virtual machine. When you open a virtual machine, you are going to basically just open that OVA file. Alright, let's go ahead and do it. Import it, and it may take some time to import it. Then from there you're allowed to give it extra RAM, how many virtual CPUs you want to give it, basically how powerful do you want to make this GNS3 VM. While that's installing, I'm going to pause the video so we don't have to wait for it to load. Alright, so the GNS3 VM just installed, and if you see here, it says GNS3 VM and it has 2 gigs of RAM. If you want to give it more RAM because you're going to be running bigger topologies, then just go ahead and up it. You know, we can change this to, 4096, so we can give it 4 gigs of RAM. If you want to give it more processors, you can. You could also give it more network adapters if you want to as well. More NICs, okay? Just click OK. And then now we have GNS3 VM installed in our VMware Workstation 12 player. Let's go back to GNS3, and it says run modern iOS, iOS V, or IOU appliances from non-system. Yeah, that's what we want. This GNS3 VM is available for free. Showed you where to get it. Go ahead and click next, and your host binding, just do 127.0.0.1. 3080 TCP should be fine. Go ahead and click next. And the service is not installed. Please install WinCap or PCAP and then reboot. Okay. Could not start local process. Okay, so maybe the local server I cannot do. Can I get past it? Maybe I need to fix that before I move on. That Win PCAP. Okay, so we got an error here. Let me see if I could click through it. I'll see if I could fix this server issue, but I need the GNS3 VM to work. So maybe there's a firewall issue. Maybe I need to change this port number, this binding. So we'll figure that out. And it won't let me get past it. So let me go back. Let me see if I could change something here. $3080. This was the first one. What happens if I do that? The NPCAP service is not installed. Okay. Alright. Let me work this in the background and then I'll come back. Actually restarted my computer and hopefully that fixed everything. So let me open up GNS3 again and let's see if that fixed our issue. Wait for this to boot up. Alright, came back up, back to that setup wizard, so let's try this again. 127.0.0.1, hit next. Sweet. Setup wizard not responding. No, I did reboot. The NPCAP service is not installed. Alright, so this stuff should have been installed when GNS3 was installed. So I'm probably going to have to go back and make sure I install it. So let me close this. Close GNS3. Either that, you know what, I'm going to start it in administrator mode. See if that works. Shut down. Come on. There we go. Yeah. Okay. Holy crap. Let's start this. Right click, run as administrator. And let's see what happens. Alright. No, still won't. Okay. Will it let me go through? Okay. Let me try to reinstall GNS3. Alright, so when I try to reinstall GNS3, it was yelling at me that I need WinPCAP and NPCAP. So I'm going to, since all of these things are installed, and I just want these two to make sure that they are installed, let me click next and just install those things. And then let's see what happens. Alright, that completed. Hit next. No, I don't want it. Alright, let's start GNS3 again. Come on, third time's a charm. Actually, I don't even know how many times this was. If I have these problems, I'm sure you guys are having these issues as well. I actually installed this earlier on my laptop and actually had 0 problems. But now I'm doing it on my other machine. This is like my desktop machine, and it's having issues. So let's find out what the problem is. Okay, so here it is. Next. Let's try this again. Come on. Good. Alright. So all I had to do was just reinstall npcap and then winpcap or wincap, whatever it was. Okay, so now this is where we are actually going to be using that GNS3 VM that we installed earlier. So right now GNS3 is trying to find it, so it may take a little while, and it should pop up under VM name right here. So hopefully it won't take much longer. Alright, so that took about a good minute. Under the VM names, you just click this drop down menu, and then it'll show you all the VMs that you have. If you don't have it, or you just added it at this screen, hit refresh and it should be there. Now this is where you tell GNS3 how many CPU cores you're going to have and what's the RAM size. So I want it to have 4096. If you downloaded the VirtualBox one, then you would click this VirtualBox button. But I did the VMware, and it's recommended, so that's what I'm using. Go ahead and click Next, click Finish, and then now we should be good to go. Now every time you start GNS3 and you have the GNS3 VM, every time you boot up, the GNS3 VM is going to boot up automatically. So let it do its thing, and then then you can start creating your topologies. So my computer is really slow. I should think about upgrading. But once this is all booted, I'll bring you back. Okay, so now I have GNS3 up, and then I have the GNS3 VM. Notice here there's an IP for this VM. There is actually a username and a password. That is key when we make our license file for our IOU images. So now that I have GNS3 up, what we're going to do is we're going to import appliance. Now where do you get these appliances? You actually go to the GNS3 website and download the IOU L2 and IOU L3 images. Let me pull that list up, that link. So you go to GNS3 Marketplace, and then you could Google it too, actually. GNS3 Marketplace, go to Appliances, and then choose the IOU L3 and the IOU L2 appliance. So IOU L2, go ahead and click download. It's a small image, but I already have it there, and that's the direct link to it. But if I go to GNS3, that's all I'm doing. It's a .gs3a file. Go ahead and click open, and then it'll say, oh, you're trying to add an appliance. Cool. You can only run it in the GNS3 VM. Click next. Now it's going to search your directories to find these certain versions. Okay. If you want to have a newer version, go ahead and click create a new version and then apply that file name. But you can see here it's looking for this L215.2 delta file. It's 100.2 megabytes big. Said it was found. It's because I have it right there. It's in this GNS3 folder that I have. If you want to get this, copy this whole entire file name, put it into Google, and then download it. Okay. So now that it's there, you can click next. Would you like to install the IOU L2? Yes, I would. Click next. and then now it is going to upload it. We're going to do the same thing for the layer 3 IOU image. Okay, click next, and then you'll see that the appliance is now installed, and it should be in the switching area. Change it to installed appliances, and then there it is. If we were to drag this out and try to start it, we're going to get an error. It says license section not found. That is what we are going to generate. But first, let me do the IOUL3 image. We're going to do the same thing. We're going to go to import appliance, go back to our GNS3. This is the IOUL3 appliance. Go ahead and click that. And then it's going to search my directories again. It's looking for this 155-2.t.bin file, which is this file right here. Again, Google this. Click next. Install it. And then this is the fun part where we're actually going to generate our IOU license. Okay. So if I go to our router, you can see that it's there. The image bin is missing. You just configure template, browse, open. It was just uploading. I don't understand why it's missing. Let's see if that happens. Alright, there you go. For some reason it didn't take, but a simple re-adding it fixed it. Okay, so we can create it, but again, if I turn this on, it's going to say, oh, you're missing a license file. Alright, so now the fun part. In my little links page, or my little links that I have, this is where you're going to get the Python key generator. Okay, take a picture of this and then put it into your web browser. Okay. Now, when you get to this github.com page, download it as a zip file. Okay. Once you download it, it's gonna be 8EDD something something something. I already downloaded it. It's right here. Okay. Double click it, unzip it, and then it's gonna be this Cisco keygen.py file. All right. So I already unzipped it. It is right there. Now what we have to do is we need to transfer it into the GNS3 VM. Run it, and then it's going to spit out a license file. So to do that, we need WinSCP. Okay, go ahead and download WinSCP and then install it. Now, when you install this, just do typical installation, do the commander interface, and let it install. Then it says you have stored sessions in sight in your PuTTY client. Do you want to import them? No. No, we don't. Okay. Please read a message from our sponsor. Okay, next. Launch it. Open getting started page. Okay, finish. Okay. So now this is where we want to log into our GNS3 VM. And the host name is going to be this IP address, 192.168.22.128. And then username is GNS3, password is GNS3. So let's move that over. 192.168.222.128. GNS3, login. Since we're using it as a state, just like, hey, what about this key? Just say yes. And then bam, now we are in the GNS3 folder. So now what we need to do is we need to move that Python script, that keygen, into a certain folder on the GNS3 VM. So we need to go to opt, GNS3, images, IOU, and then move it over. And all we do is we just click and drag. Click OK, and then bam, there it is. Okay. So now we need to go into the GNS3 VM and we need to execute that Python script. Alright, so now we need to get into the GNS3 VM. If it sleeps, just go ahead and hit the enter button. Then we are going to go into shell. And go to shell, and we need to navigate to the folder of this right here. Okay, of opt, GNS3 images, and IOU. So in the GNS3 VM, we'll say cd opt, tab it out, GNS3 images, IOU, hit enter. Then we need to run this Python script, and in there we need to say sudo python3 to run python3, and then the keygen file. So we'll say python3 space Cisco, and then tab it out, hit enter. Boom. Now it's running. Now it just created its own license file, and what we care about is this. I'll write it out over here. We need this thing that says license, and then underneath it it said GNS3 VM space equals, and then you could write this down, or I think it spit out a text file, but if not, you can create it yourself. So I am creating it myself. So what you actually need is you need this. Let's create a new one, paste it, and it needs to be in the format of IOURC, and it's in a text file. Hit save, and then bam, that's all we need. But if we look in the WinSCP, if we hit refresh, okay, it could have spit it out there, but it didn't. But I put it over here in my GNS3 stuff folder. Now what we do with this is we go back into GNS3 with that IOURC file, go into preferences, and then go into IOU on iOS on Unix. Hit browse, and then search for that source file, the IOURC.txt file. Hit open, puts it in there, click OK, and now let's start. IO key not ending with, oh, I needed the colon. I missed the colon. So let me go back in there. I like how it told me what was wrong. Just go ahead and click that, and then start it, and then bam, there you go. So there are our IOU images. Okay, so let me recap some things here. You need to have all of these files. You don't need these two, but you need the WinSCP. You can Google that. You need the Python script, which is on that GitHub page. You need these IOU images, so go ahead and Google that. You need GNS3, update it to the latest version. You need GNS3 VM, get that to its latest version, install it, and then combine it all together at the end. Okay? This may have been a long video, but I was troubleshooting with you, and I was taking you step by step on how to do this. So I hope this was informative for you, and I'd like to thank you for viewing.